evening, everyone. I'll call the meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Pettit here.
Brave here.
Hearing is here.
Cummings here.
Dolphin here.
Eugene here. Come here.
Okay, we're all here. Verification of proper meeting notices, Leader, Waterloo, WTTN, and Waterloo Cable TV. All right, I am looking for a motion for the agenda. Is there any changes, Ryan?
No changes to agenda, but when you arrived tonight, you would have found a replacement sheet for the front of your board informer that has the most recent coaches listed for the fall sports tonight, the staff positions. So there were some updates for you.
Do I have a motion with those changes?
Crave will move for approval.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, so I have a motion on the floor by Craig, seconded by Krieger to approve the agenda as presented with the changes that were given to us tonight. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? No one. Okay, motion carries with a 7-0 vote. Moving right along, the action of the meeting minutes from the regular meeting, June 10th, open session. Are there any changes that we would like for that one? No? Not seeing any? Looking for a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the regular board meeting from June 10th, 2026, open session.
Do I have a second?
I can second that.
Okay, so I have a motion on the floor by Jurgis, seconded by Pettit, to approve the agenda from June 10th, open session. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposed? So no one ever. Okay, motion carries with a 7-0 vote. Moving right along to the closed session. Any changes to the closed session?
Crave will move for approval.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, so I have a motion on the floor by Craig, seconded by Pettit, to approve the closed session from June 10th. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, opposed? No one? Motion carries with a 7-0 vote. All right, so moving right along, we have board reports. Nobody's here tonight from the board. Okay. Administration reports. Christine, Declaration of Educational Standards.
Good evening. You have in your board packet the outline of the standards for 26-27. The state of Wisconsin requires us to publicly announce what standards we are going to follow for the school year, and there are no changes. We have not updated any standards. Last year, if you remember, we adopted the ELD standards. We will continue work on that this year, but all of the content area standards remain the same for the 26-27 school year. Any questions on that?
No.
All right, if you have any questions later on as you discuss, please let me know.
Perfect, thank you. All right, we are up to Michele. Armentrout.
Hey, hi. Good evening, everyone. So in the packet, I have just a brief presentation around our seclusion or annual seclusion and restraint report. And especially having 2 new members, just wanted to highlight some of the state statutes around seclusion and restraint, and again, anchor our understanding in the definition of what seclusion and restraint are. So state statute prohibits the use of seclusion or physical restraint by school staff except in very limited circumstances where a student's behavior presents clear, present, and imminent risk to the physical safety of students and or school staff, and it is the least restrictive intervention feasible. And this statute applies to all students, so it's not just students with disabilities, it's all of our students. So again, just to define seclusion and physical restraint, Seclusion is the involuntary confinement of a student apart from other students in a room or area where the student is physically prevented from leaving. So that's the definition of seclusion. And when we talk about physical restraint, it's a restriction that immobilizes or reduces the ability of a student to freely move his or her arms, legs, or head. So obviously if a staff member is holding a student's hand and helping them walk somewhere, that's not a physical restraint. So it's really that immobilization piece. So again, I wanted to just anchor the board in an understanding of how we prepare and train our staff each year. So staff with the most potential to be involved in a student that might present behaviors that could rise to the level of that imminent threat are trained annually through nonviolent crisis intervention, or what we call NVCI training. So what we have done is we have all of our administrators, all of our student services staff, our special educators, and then all of our paraprofessionals receive this training annually. This training focuses on prevention, de-escalation techniques, and safe physical interventions. Should there be an incident of restraint or seclusion, we are required to have a debriefing session. Again, to just go over what happened before, what happened during, could there be anything, would there be anything that we would do differently? And then we are required to communicate with families immediately and have copies of written reports shared within 3 business days so that they have all of that information. So that's just sort of the background on seclusion and restraint. Are there any questions on that before I go into our details? Okay, perfect. So this year, I've included the last 3 years. This year, Waterloo School District had one incident that involved both seclusion and restraint with the same student. And in our report, you'll see the little subcategories that we're required to report out on. So that includes the number of instances, how many students were involved, how many students are identified with disabilities that are involved for each seclusion and restraint. So an example might be if we have a situation where students are fighting and we need to, pull them apart and restrain both of the students, that would be one incident but involving 2 students, if that makes sense. So again, from this past school year, we had one student that rose to that level of need where they were required to be secluded and restrained, and that student was a student identified with a disability. And then again, you can see that compared to the year before and the year before that. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and Suzi, dealing with the 2026-2027 budget update.
Yeah, I'll just do a high-level one since this is the preliminary budget. State aid estimates came out. We're looking about $132,000 less than last year. The budget for Fund 10 is showing about a $317,000 deficit. Again, rough numbers, because it's firmed up in the fall. But I do want to point out that the revenue decrease was over $255,000, and our expense decrease was about $112,000. So we're running a lean budget. We're doing our best to get that down, but right now I'm asking to approve it. Any questions? Okay.
Thank you. Brian, Henning, introduction of the admin staff.
Yeah, I just wanted to take an opportunity, we've had a busy spring with administrative changes to formally introduce our team for this upcoming year. We will send something out to families and parents so that they are familiar with faces and names and offices as well as we get closer to school. This upcoming year in the high school will be Mr. Eugene Syvrud. Will be our high school principal. In the middle school will be Mr. Travis Moulton, serving grades 5 through 8. Athletic director and part-time dean of students will be Mr. Brandon Siska. Then in the elementary school will be Mrs. Christine Ziemann, serving grades pre-K through 4. And then rounding out the team will be Mrs. Michele Armentrout, serving again as our Director of People Services and Special Education. So we have a very strong team here, and we look forward to a new year with our additions also.
Well, welcome. I see Travis is online, so welcome. And I'm looking forward to meeting them, those two. And Michele, obviously, we know. Christine, we know, and Brandon, but yeah, perfect. All right, moving on to bills, vouchers, and financial reports. We would look for a approval of the treasurer's report, the superintendent listing of the disbursements through June 30th, and the district receipts for the month of June. Are there any questions or changes?
I had a question. I was taking a look at the June 2025 reports, comparing them to June 2026 for the, sorry, I'm coming up with this late, Suzi, but the state reimbursement estimate for the food service, there was like an estimate in June of 2025 of $46,000 of revenue we were getting in, and in 2026 the estimate was 0. Is there just a timing thing for that? It was the food service section.
I already,
Which sheets are you looking at, Jeremy?
That's where I don't have that written down, but I really close.
That's definitely a typo, but I'm just wondering what sheet you're looking at so we can get it correct.
yeah, because I got on the last page of the treasurer's report where the food service is at, I've got the federal reimbursement estimate and for,
There it is. This is the thing. The state reimbursement number was 0, that estimate.
that comes once a year and it already came.
Okay,
Yep, so it just depends on which month it falls in.
timing.
Yes,
Thank you.
yep,
But our yearly is not 0.
no, correct, yes, yep, it's just that month and the month it hit.
Yep.
Okay, then I am just looking for a motion.
Second question.
Sure. Oh, yeah, you keep going.
There was in June of 2025, and I'm guessing this is a timing thing again, the ACH for summer payroll was in June of 2025, but it wasn't in June of 2026. Is that a timing one as well?
It
It
shows
was like
up,
$500,000.
it shows up, I put it. Oh, I added it, it's on the disbursements. I put that's the number.
Oh, gotcha.
I need to take out taxes.
That'll do.
There's no great place to put those ones, but I try to account for it, so that's where it's at.
And just for clarification, if you ever see that, so how we do payroll here, we do payroll at the beginning of June for the entire summer, because employees get paid June, July, and August, and so that hits the books in June, and so that's why you see a bigger number than typical.
Yeah, you have to report it.
In that month, so it's actually 3 months worth of numbers, so that we can get it in all of this fiscal year, and then start the new fiscal year clean.
With that, I will move to approve the treasurer's report, the superintendent listing of the disbursements through June 30th, 2026, and the review of district receipts for the month of June.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, so I have a motion on the floor by Dolphin, seconded by Pettit, to approve all 3 reports as listed. Roll call.
Pettit, yes.
Great, yes.
Here, yes.
Cummings, yes.
Dolphin, yes.
Weaver, yes.
Yes.
Okay, 7-0, that is approved. All right, moving right along, any announcements tonight, Brian?
I have none.
Is there any announcements from the board members?
I'll drop one.
Sure.
I was mean to Suzi for being audited right now. And I asked her for some numbers this afternoon and she got them to me. And then I dropped these other nasty questions to her tonight. She nails them both. Thanks, Sue.
No problem. I didn't make a copy for everyone, but I can email it, what Gary asked for.
Okay, perfect. All right, is there any public input tonight? Okay, anyone online? All right, moving right along. We have new business, the staff positions, which is in your, you got two sheets updated for you. Are there any questions for Brian with the staff positions that are listed? No? Okay, I am just looking for a motion.
I will make the motion to approve staff positions.
Do I have a second?
Pupil second.
Okay. So I have a motion on the floor by Yergis and seconded by Krieger to approve the staff positions as presented and given to us tonight. The updates, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, opposed? Okay, motion carries with a 7-0 vote. All right, moving right along. We have the 2026-2027 budget. Are we just approving it because it's preliminary, just, okay.
Just to get one, yeah.
Okay. Are there any questions regarding the budget and what was in the packet? Okay, I'm just looking for a motion.
Crave will move for approval.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, so I have a motion on the floor by Crave and seconded by Dolphin to approve the 2026-2027 budget, the preliminary. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, 7-0 vote. All right, and then we are on to action C, standards-based grading in the middle school 5 through 8. Does anyone have any questions regarding that? I know we have the information in our packet. Christine, do you want to talk regarding the standard-based grading at all?
Are there any questions from the board on what that means? I do want to point out that only 10 staff members filled out that survey, and there's approximately 20 teaching staff at the middle school. But what questions can I answer for you?
And out of those staff, you said 7 only did it, and they all wanted the standard-based grading?
I think at the
No,
time of
10.
the
10
report, there were 10.
10 filled out the survey.
Okay, 10. out of
9 wanted traditional,
Traditional.
1 wanted standard.
Okay.
What's been the student and parent feedback on standard-based grading? Because we're 2 years into that model, right?
I think we're closer to 5
No.
years.
Oh, are we?
Yeah. Yes. We switched over to standards-based grading the second semester of my first year here at the middle school, and I'm starting my 6th year. And so we have not had any negative feedback from parents. Students will tell you that they think it's much easier to get an A than to get a 4. At the very first year that we had the standards-based grading, we did have some parent information sent out. I met with parents one-on-one. We had a parent night. It was not well attended, but we offered a lot of opportunities. The elementary currently has standards-based grading, so moving from elementary to middle school, there weren't a whole lot of questions.
Any questions?
May I make a statement?
Yeah.
I spoke to the teachers, the middle school teachers, and several of them came in asking to go back to traditional grades. That they did not care for standard-based grading, and that they thought the children would work harder for grades A, B, C, and D.
Can I add something to that?
Sure.
There are quite a few staff that are not pleased that we don't give zeros out. And part of our focus on engagement last year, there were quite a number of staff that wanted to give zeros if the students did not complete their work. The whole philosophy behind standards-based grading is that the teacher elicits evidence of proficiency based on the rubrics on the essential standards. So it's not just completing an assignment, but it is working with the child or with the student in order to obtain proficiency information on what they know and what they don't know.
Do you think that it's preparing them for high school with the traditional grading, getting them prepared? Because if it's 1 through 4, 5th through 8th, how do they adapt to the kids per se? Because, I mean, is it affecting them and their grades? Because they're used to getting 4s when then you go to high school and it might be a little bit harder to get an A or a B. Yeah.
I think a lot of the students and a lot of the staff would agree that it's easier to get an A than it is to get a 4. So when we first switched over to standards-based grading, there were some parents that were upset that their child was not getting 4s all the time because on the rubric, the 3 is proficiency, 4 is above and beyond. So there are opportunities throughout their educational classes in order to not just do what's grade level expected, but to go above and beyond, which is that 4. So it's a different philosophy at the high school level with credit attainment. It makes sense to have a traditional grading scale as students are kind of moving into young adulthood over the middle school years. It is a way that the teacher and the student can work together in order to understand the content and not just have a percentage. I have had parents tell me that they like that the essential standards are broken out on the report card and that they are given a score for each different area instead of just an overall percentage in a letter grade.
Is this a common grading scale for a lot of areas?
For standards-based, yes.
So standard-based, this is kind of what they're doing for?
Yes, some, correct, 1, 2, 3, or 4. Some districts choose to do 1, 2, or 3, and it really doesn't matter. You could call it, A, B, C, or D. The problem that a lot of staff have with standards-based grading is that there is no F. They can't necessarily get an F if the student doesn't complete an assignment. It's up to the teacher and the student in order to find an alternative way to assess proficiency.
You, Cindy, teach at different locations, right? Do you see this a lot, this grading? I'm sorry.
No,
No?
no. We, at the district that I currently work at, is traditional grades. And in Madison, there were 1, 2, 3, 4 until you were in middle school, and then it went to traditional grades.
So just elementary, you saw
Yes,
this?
yes.
I think it's something to be noted for sure, that you sent a survey out, we only got a 50% response rate, but of that response rate, we have 90% of the teachers saying they'd like to return to traditional grading.
Yeah.
I mean, there's clearly an indication there from the frontline staff that maybe a change is warranted. Because I think if the other 10 teachers felt adamantly, let's stay standard-based, they would have taken the time to do the survey and indicate.
We did send it out during the summer, so it's not always easy to catch people in the summer, but yeah.
And they don't have their Chromebooks either. So most of the teachers that responded were teachers that were teaching summer school and still had their Chromebooks.
Could you resend that out then to a time that everybody's able to do? Like at the beginning of the year or middle of the year? I mean, if not everybody has that option to vote.
Change for next year.
No,
Yeah.
people would have had an option to vote, it's just, tracking down the teachers in the summer isn't always the easiest, and understandably, right, they're on vacation, I don't blame them one bit. We could send it out in the fall when they return, but it would be very difficult for you to make a change at that time, because the school year would be underway, and you're approving handbooks and those sorts of things. And not that you couldn't do it the following year, but my suspicion is you wouldn't see a great amount of change in that survey. Whether you had 50% or 100%, it's gonna be pretty typical.
Is that a typical response you get to stuff you send out to your staff?
During the school year, we would get a much better response, yeah. But the summer, that's pretty typical, yeah.
See your guys's.
I think I would make a motion to return to traditional grading for the 2026-27 school year for the our middle school grades 5 through 8.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
You'll second that? Okay, we are gonna do a roll call vote, so it's easier.
Pettit, yes?
Grade, no.
Curious, yes.
Cummings, yes.
Dolphin, yes.
Figure yes.
Kwame, yes?
So we are going back to the traditional A through D grading for the middle school.
A through D.
And that was 6-1. A through F, sorry. I forgot to put F on there too. All right, moving along. Student fees and food service pricing. The pricing is in your pamphlet, in your book. You guys have any questions regarding that?
Band equipment rental, is that the actual instrument rental fee? Or is there something else?
No, that's the instrument rental fee.
That is a fantastic price.
Did we ever get all the band equipment?
It was
In
the,
time?
I don't know about in time, but it was in
It was in the budget.
the budget, the packet.
Yeah, no, I meant in time for Florida.
I don't know if every single thing came in, there were a couple things that were back ordered or something, but
Yeah, we
majority of it.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a couple different invoices, so.
Okay. Okay, I'm just looking for a motion to approve the student fees and food service pricing.
I'll move to approve.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, so I have a motion on the floor by Dolphin and seconded by Pettit to approve the student fees and food service pricing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, 7-0 vote. All right, we are up to this seclusion and restraint report. Do we have any questions for Michele?
I'll move to approve Michelle's report as presented. She always gives us extra information.
Okay, do I have a second?
She had 100% reduction this year, so.
I was gonna say, those are good numbers.
Okay, so I have a motion on the floor by Kwame and seconded by Jurgis to approve the seclusion and restraint report. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion approved. 7-0. All right, we are to the elementary and middle school student handbooks 2026-2027. Are there any questions regarding them?
Are there any noted major changes to the handbook this year that we should take note of?
We do have Travis on with us tonight. If Travis wants to speak on his behalf, he can, and certainly Christine's on there, so. And we'll have the high school one for you as well coming up next month. Just Eugene is, with his schedule, wasn't able to get to it before this meeting, but you will see that too.
So there are no major changes to either handbook, other than we will update the fees and fines after you vote on that later tonight. And Travis will need to update the grading scale and the grading information in the handbook. Now that you have voted for traditional, One question that I did want to clarify with that piece, and then I can help Travis through that, is if you want to follow the exact same grading scale that the high school uses with their percentages, or what variances you would like in that grading scale for the middle school.
Have we done that in the past when we had the traditional? Did we go with the same percentage as the high school, or was it completely separate? I don't know if it.
Currently, the high school has it delineated between what percentages is an A, what's an A minus, what's a B plus, what's a B, what's a B minus, C plus, C, C minus, D plus, D, D minus, F. Or do you want just a straight A, B, C, D, F percentage gradient?
Yes, yeah.
Similar to the
We're
For
saying
simplicity.
similar to the high school, do you guys agree?
Yes.
Similar to the high school. We like the
Okay, thank you.
A plus, A minus, A, all that, yeah.
Okay, that clarifies that, thank you.
Yep. Travis, did you want to add in anything?
No, the only changes at the middle school were the same as the elementary, so the fees for technology. And then, yeah, we'll make the change to mimic the high school for grades. I also want to just thank you for the opportunity to be a part of Waterloo. I'm excited to get started.
Perfect, well, we look forward to it, yes. All right, do we have a motion for the elementary and middle school handbooks?
Crave will move for approval.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, so I have a motion on the floor by Crave and seconded by Pettit to approve the elementary and middle school student handbooks 2026 and 2027, and with the noted change of the grading scale going to traditional. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that's a 7-0 vote. All right, now we are down to 2026, 2027 Declaration of Educational Standards. Are there any questions regarding that? No changes, okay, I'm looking for a motion then.
I will make that motion.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, so I have a motion on the floor by Jurgis and a seconded by Krieger to approve the 2026-2027 Declaration of Educational Standards. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, 7-0, opposed, said no one. Okay, moving right along. We have the Go-Riteway Fuel Amendment. Does anyone have any questions, or do you want to educate us on a little bit on that?
Yeah, it's been a few months since we've talked about this last. So remember, we started our new contract with Riteway this past school year, and so we're just finishing up the first year with them. One of the things that we encountered was the language that we had for, I'll just call it fuel surcharges, when diesel goes over $3, was interpreted a little bit differently from them than it had been in past contractors. And so we started asking questions about that, and then of course, you remember what fuel prices did around February, so then it got a really big part of our discussion and more of a budget impact. But basically, the way the contract reads is that the district's responsible for the increased cost for anything over $3 a gallon for diesel fuel, which currently sits quite a bit above that. But there's also a statement in there that the contractor is responsible to buy the most affordable fuel that it possibly can. Well, one of the things that I think we still are in disagreement about is, what is their obligation? For example, if you buy at the pump at Quick Trip, it's probably a little bit more than if you buy 10,000 gallons in bulk pricing and have a storage tank at your regional facility. And so my understanding, and Suzi, let me know if I am saying anything incorrectly, but my understanding is that they often let drivers who take their bus home just go and fill up at Quick Trip, but then drivers that don't do that get fuel at the Riteway facility, which is their bulk pricing. So we end up getting charged a little bit more sometimes for fuel than others, because they're making it easy on their drivers. We certainly want to make it easy on our drivers, and we have great drivers and really appreciate them, but we feel that there should be a little bit more teeth in the contract for obligating them to get always cheaper fuel. So, you know, a little bit of give and take with this one. I think we landed somewhat in the middle with our negotiations with them, but I think it's something the board should note for the next contract renewal, that we may want to put more teeth in that to make sure that they get the lowest price fuel whenever possible.
The other kind of frustrating part of it is, we made them provide copies of their receipts, and pretty much each invoice, except for this last June fuel surcharge, was incorrect. So I had to make them go back and prove it, and then they'd have a little correction. So I'm not very happy about their error margin. So that's a piece of it too. We're having to watch it
How
closely.
many years are we in for this?
Just the first year, 5.
So we have 5 years.
4 years left now.
4 years left, okay. So, okay, got it. Okay. Okay, so we're looking for a motion.
To approve the amendment?
Yep,
All right.
Where is the amendment?
it's all the way on the last, like 3 pages from the back. There's 1 page and it's like right in the middle.
I'll move to approve.
Do I have a second?
Craig will second.
Okay, so I have a motion on the floor by Dolphin and seconded by Craig to approve the Go-Riteway fuel amendment. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, 7-0 vote. All right, so we are moving right along. The Career, Community, and Life Readiness. Does anyone have any questions regarding that? It's also in the
This was a topic when we talked about budget cuts, we talked about eliminating our contract with Scott Carr as a cost savings mechanism.
Yeah, so, correct. We did talk about reducing our consultant time with Scott for the Career, Community, and Life Readiness work. We did sit down with Scott at the end of the year, like we do every year with him, and I said, you know, I think the board would like a chance to review, you know, where we're at with this work, because we've been sort of ramping up like this, and we're at a stage where we're pretty heavily invested and heavily involved. And I wanted to, you know, show you what that would look like to bring him on for everything that we wanted to accomplish for this upcoming year, which is kind of like a wish list, so it's pretty high. We certainly could scale that back, or, you know, I think the board just needs to weigh in and say, it doesn't mean we have to let it go, it just means that we're probably not doing as much with Scott as we have been in the past. We'll have to do more of it internally, so. Anyway, I wanted a chance for you to review that.
I appreciate that, because I like what Scott's doing. I like meeting him numerous times and the ideas and where he wants to take it. This $40,000, well, that's a wish list, that's everything we're considering. That's pretty high compared to what we were used to. And like Sue said, last time we talked about this, we were thinking about going solo on this. Has that changed? Are we afraid to go solo with this, or are we just taking another look at it now that we're at the precipice.
Yeah, right. I think we're prepared to go solo. It's always, you know, a little bit difficult to make that change when you do that because we've had such a good relationship with him. So, you know, we just again wanted you to be involved in that decision. So you're not sitting there wondering where's Scott and how come we haven't heard about this work if you don't see him. So.
But we're ready to go solo, possibly, or do we need some training wheels yet?
Well, we have some, you know, new people that we just brought on board, so it's gonna be some time to get people up to speed, so, yeah.
But we're 40,000.
Because we only had a couple of teachers actively participating with Scott's work this last year, right? That was your Ziemann and.
We had a lot of teachers participating in the work, everybody was just at a different stage. Some people were, you know, fully implemented, some were just beginning, and then in between also, so.
And Sean was pretty invested in this work.
Yeah, for sure, I think all the administrators have been.
So what are you guys thinking?
I think he's added value, pulled a lot of discussion and, out of the community. I'm not too keen on the 40,000, I wouldn't mind sticking it around where it's been at 15 and picking up the difference in-house. I know it's kind of a cowardly way to say splitting the difference, but I know it's how it's worked and I feel he's added value, so that's my suggestion.
I feel like this was 15,000 we cut from the budget. It's not currently in your proposed budget, correct, Suzie? So it would add to the deficit in the budget. I just feel like we have to honor what we said as a board previously, that this was going to be a cut we were going to be willing to make. And I'm sad to see the work potentially make changes in a downward direction, but if I had to choose this over a teacher, I'd for sure choose a teacher. And so I would say, I don't want to see us invest this money right now.
Cindy? I agree with you. Jeremy?
I'm kind of leaning towards Charles' spot there. I do want to look at the deficit, and that's the extra little piece that I was asking for Suzie to put together for me to take a look at our fund balance as it's been over the years. In the last 2 years, and now our proposed budget for the third year are going in the wrong direction, and this will add to it. So, 40,000 is probably right out for me on it. That's too much. The most I would go is what we've been doing over the past couple of years, like 15, like Charlie suggested. I'm either a 15 or 0 kind of guy right now.
That's where I'm at too. I really like what he's doing, but we did cut it from our budget.
Charlie?
Yeah, I'll stick with the 15.
Jennifer?
I guess I just don't know enough about him to make a honest opinion.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like, if, what like Susan was saying, it comes to, I don't know him, I don't know Scott Carr, is that correct? I don't know him, I'm not sure exactly what he does, nothing against him, but again, the budget was the biggest thing that was screamed about, not screamed about, but talked about as far as what the community and everybody wanted to do and where that money was going, and I think if that's the case, then I would also have to go with Cindy and Susan and really be strict on our budget. So I know that doesn't help, but.
Because right now the proposal is the 40,000, so we have to either A, accept that proposal, which is what we have in front of us, And if we turn this down, we can go back and say.
Counter offer.
Yeah, we can go back and say, what can you do for the 15, and he can show us what he can do with that amount. And then bring that back and be able to present it. Because right now, we can't really say 15, because that's not what's that's not what's in the board packet. It is,
Going back to Scott and saying for 15, what can you give us, Brian, is that decent? Or is that a possibility?
Yeah, for sure. We would say that the board, was thinking more around 15 budget. Can you, tone your, original proposal back to fit into that budget, and then he would make that proposal for you to consider.
Because was that 15 already included?
no.
No,
Even- So the
no,
nothing was
included.
included.
We eliminated that consultant cost.
So that's what we have to decide, is if we even want to, because we as a board approved removing that from the budget.
You can ask Scott to come in on time and material, can't you? Or you just pay him that way or not?
Yes, I think he would want at least some idea what to prepare for.
How many hours is he, I mean, what's he do, what's he do?
Yeah, so it's less, we all know Scott because everyone's worked with Scott for a long time, so the discussion is sort of centering around Scott, but the work is really what you're buying into, because with the career and community and life readiness, that this is, the capstone projects that we have with kids doing youth apprenticeship programs, with the teaching in the classroom, and the business partnerships that have been established. All of those things are sort of what we've been building on to create this, pathway for kids that maybe aren't necessarily going to a 4-year or 2-year school, so that they're workforce ready and they're have those life skills and so forth. So the work, ends up being what Scott has helped kickstart here, but.
And what grade does that usually start at?
It tends to be heavier focus at the high school, but it's introduced as early as the elementary and ramps up in the middle school. So it's a K-12 thing, but you see more of the end product with the high school kids as they go out into the community and work with businesses and employers with those youth apprenticeships and internships and those kinds of things. But it's really district-wide.
Going back to you, Cindy. Do you see this in other schools? Like, is this something else you see as well?
Well, CISA, yeah, I've seen CISA 6, CISA 2, I've seen their work, but I'm not familiar with what he does here.
Yeah.
It's really cool work, Jen, like what Scott has developed is this package with CISA 2 and trying to change the framework and conception around education to really help students find their focus and hopefully their life goals early, and then set an educational path that leads them in that direction. But it's a culture shift for a school, for sure, and would require I think, a lengthy commitment with Scott in order to be successful. Unless you have champions in the district that can also help the career.
I think this was like 2.5 years we've been with us.
Yeah. As a district and education lately in general is really good at sending kids to college, preparing kids for college. I got a daughter, Sue's daughters went to school here. They were ready for college and they took off and did fine there. I also have a son who has no desire to go to college. The doors that college would open for him he's not interested in that. So he went into construction and he's enjoying that, he loves it. It's terrific. But of course, what did this district here do to prepare him for a life in construction? That's what Scott Carr, I'm trying to boil it down here into a 2-minute selling point here. But that's what Scott Carr does, is he helps the kids who are not interested in school find a career path for them, and we as a district can help those students find their career path as well. That's what Scott's helping us do.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And that was really cool, especially when some of the older, longer term board members met with Scott a couple of times and he went through his process behind that. That's what we were getting from him.
And Charlie can speak to this, but he did bring in the community and presented to businesses local to try to get their engagement in like youth apprenticeship programs and local work and study programs. So he not only worked with our school, he worked with our community. So I definitely see value in his program. I just think as a board, we said, we don't have the dollars, and we have to make dollar cuts somewhere, and this was one of the things that we chose.
Yeah.
So, circling back, so we need either A, to make a motion, and a second to approve the 40,000, which is what is being presented tonight. If we're not going to do that, then we don't have to take action.
You could take action to direct the administration to seek an amended
Amount.
version of the contract, yeah.
Okay.
That sounds reasonable.
Yeah, but then we're still putting 15,000
Correct.
into our budget.
Right.
That's,
Which we did not have in the budget, so that will be another negative. So what is your guys' pleasure?
I think that we should not move forward with this at this time due to our budget. And as a bummer, a huge time. But we have to try to get towards the positive, right, at some point, and hopefully he can come back and when we're in a better place. Because you know what, the sun always comes out after the rain. There is your quote for the day.
Wow,
Wow.
thank you, Elmer Childers.
Yeah, but I mean, hopefully at some point we can have this opportunity again. I just think as of now, unfortunately, no.
And do you think that he's laid some groundwork for the future? I mean, with businesses?
Oh, I do, yeah.
How many kids took part in the youth apprenticeship program last year in the high school?
Approximately 40, give or take a couple.
Is that up from years prior?
Yeah, we've been up every year. Sean has really done a lot of work with it, and so has our counselor, Mr. Moulton.
Does anyone want to make an amendment, or are we an amend amount, or are we not taking action on?
Do we have somebody that could follow in his footsteps for the time being? Not perfect, but somebody that could lead?
Well, I think we, if we're not going to spend money or additional money, then it would have to fully rest on the shoulders of in-house people. So we would have to take it all in-house.
Which, I mean, every company is lean right now. And we're all doing more than, we're stretched thin for everything.
Or with less?
Yeah. So I'm gonna make a motion to not move forward with this, with Scott this year.
Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay. So I have a motion by Pettit and seconded by Kwame to not move forward with the career, community, and life readiness this year for the amount of $40,000. Correct. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, 7-0 vote. I know. Future agenda items, are there any future agenda items, Brian?
You tell us whatever you want us to put on.
Our turn?
Anyone like to add anything on to the agenda? No? Okay, well, if there is ever, let me know. Before the next meeting, preferably the Friday before, or maybe even before that, so we can give Beth some time. Okay, so we are going to a motion and a roll call vote, which will be after I read this very long thing. For going to closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19.851CF, the Board of Education may move into closed session for the purpose of discussion and potential action concerning employment or performance evaluation data of any public employee over the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility, and discussion and potential action considering medical, social, or personal histories or disciplinary data of specific persons, personnel problems, or the investigation of charges against persons except where Part B applies, which if discussed in public would likely to have a substantial adverse effect upon the reputation of any person referred to in such histories or data or involved in such problems or investigations. Discussion of a student matter subject to Wisconsin Statute Chapter 115 sub B and Wisconsin Statute Section 118.18125. Discussion of individual special education student services requests, discussion of administration, certified and support staff staffing. Hey, do I have a motion to go into closed session?
You just did, and I'll second it.
Oh yeah, I did. Sarah did, Cummings did. And seconded by Jurgis, and that would be at time at 7:26.
It's a roll call.
And a roll call vote.
Pettit, yes.
Craig, yes.
Eric, yes.
Cummings, yes.
Dolphin, yes.
Eager, yes. Kwame, yes.
Okay, we are going to go into closed session. We're gonna get a 10-minute recess, and we will be back at 7:37.
Same time as the last one.